The annual Irish Film Festival London returned 13th to 17th November. Saturday kicked off with the documentary Eat, Sleep, Cheer, Repeat.
Cheerleading as a sport is not naturally something that you would assume would be taking place in Ireland, and for us that was something that drew us to the sport. Yeah, the documentary, the idea started, we were looking for a project that celebrated women in sport. Predominantly women leave sport around the age of 13, and we were looking for a sport, you know, that there was a bit of longevity in. So these women stay in sport until their early 20s, some to their mid-20s. And look, it's a way that you can celebrate being feminine. You have to be really strong, you have to be really athletic, but you can also be really feminine. And cheer does that, and I think that's what attracts a lot of the people to it. But what's really interesting about the people who come to cheer in Ireland, they're you know, we have national sports, like we have the GAA, we have hurling, we have soccer, but cheer is something where people who don't necessarily fit into those sports have a place where they can fit in, and it is a place where you can feel safe, and it's about being with your friends and doing something exceptional. It's a portrait of a time in life, and also it's a time in our not so recent history. So there's moments that kind of a reference to COVID in there as well, but they're fleeting. And it is also, you know, about being at that crossroads in life and not knowing, you know, where you're going to go, what you want to do, and how to pursue your dreams and your goals. And some of them, you know, identifying what their goals are. Yeah, it's a film that I suppose a lot of different people can either see themselves in or can understand the dilemmas that the characters are experiencing in the film.
There was then a screening of Ransom 79, which is the story of late RTE reporter Charlie Bird's final story. Charlie Bird passed away in 2024 after a long battle with motor neurone disease.
I mean, Charlie, you know, he covered so many major stories over the course of his career, and yeah, I mean, he was a legend, and I guess, you know, to be part of helping him to tell his final story was a privilege. It was a story that meant a lot to him. He was determined that he wanted to tell it, and yeah, it was a privilege to be able to help him to tell it. I think, you know, he was very determined to tell it, but I think the process of actually making the film, when he was facing what he was facing, sort of gave him a real sense of kind of like purpose and meaning. And I think that was what drove us all on, really. So yeah, just a privilege to have done it with him, you know. Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing for all of us is that we can make a film that Charlie would be proud of, you know, and hopefully we've done that, you know. So.
And look, everywhere we go with this, it's bittersweet, because we'd love to have Charlie with us, and I know how much of a kick he'd get out of it. But it's still a wonderful celebration of him to be here. So just delighted. Yeah, a great joy. About 2 weeks before he actually died, and we didn't know he was that close, I went out to see him. I brought the laptop out to him in Wicklow to show him and his wife Claire the latest cut. That, you know, and there was some stuff I wanted to run by him. I actually wanted his feedback on it, and I got a shock when I went in, because it was the first time I'd seen him fully prone. You know, up to then he'd been a bit more mobile. But as soon as I opened the laptop and pressed play, his face just lit up. At this stage, he'd given up on the voice recorder. He'd kind of given up on the notepad. He was very, very debilitated, but he absolutely engaged with it in his head, in his eyes, and radiated joy at seeing it and pride. So that was really lovely. Yeah, it's about somebody determined to keep doing the thing that identifies him, that he identifies by, until it's literally wrested away from him. And that's, you know, like that's a classic hero's journey, isn't it? A heroic narrative. So that's why it works so well, I think, as a film. People ask, was it hard? And it was, but it's also a real privilege, and it's kind of a joy for somebody to let you in as they go through that. It's a really rare thing to accompany somebody on a journey like that, you know. So one of the things I feel is really grateful to Charlie for welcoming me in.
Life is suffering.
This was followed by the boxing drama Swing Bout, which was preceded by the short Our Father, which is directed by Aisling Bea.
Is coming for all of us.
Oh, we are so excited. So this is my directorial debut. It's our little baby, myself and Claire Duffy, who's absolutely incredible. She's an amazing actress and writer who I've been lucky enough to work with for the last 5 years, and this is our first little project together. She also produced it. We made it in 2 days on a shoestring, and now we're getting to premiere it here in Leicester Square, which is a big old deal for 2 young girls from Ireland all the way to London City, you know. So it's one close to Claire's heart. It's an LGBTQI plus story in that it's about grappling with someone who is religious, but also is grappling with their sexuality and family and what that means to come out and be truthful. And so that's the core of it. We also hope it's funny. A lot of the work I do and Claire does, I would say, likes to break taboos using comedy, but also have a groundedness to it. So that's what Claire's done so beautifully in her script. And yeah, so I'm very excited for people to see it, and I hope it leads to a lot more stuff, especially for Claire, because she's an incredible actress and so incredible in it. You know, that part was so easy from a director's point of view. She makes me look good. Yeah, I love my community. I think the London Irish is a whole category of its own. It's not just the Irish in Britain. I think the London Irish have a long history here, and there is something about the community once we arrive and we get together and we sort of do stuff that I feel hugely attached to. My mother lives here now. My sister moved over 2 years after me, and so yeah, I feel like this film sort of represents a little bit of us making stuff here as well, and you know, being part of the. I hope we add to British society, and I'm pretty sure we do.
The strong, the brave, and the bold.
Swing Bout is a warts and all portrait of the world of boxing.
With great certainty, a storm is coming.
It's actually great to be here because I used to dig roads outside here once upon a time, on night shift. And I used to always imagine being inside the cinema. So to bring the film over here, it's actually a huge moment for me. And the festival itself, like, we've all been so impressed. Like, the hospitality's been amazing from the organisers here, you know, from start to finish. So, and then the screening was fantastic. Can't recommend the festival enough to other filmmakers.
You know what, it wasn't by any means us trying to shine a light or to point a finger at the boxing community. In actual fact, it's a story about truth, and it's a story about this young boxer, as it so happens, and she's down in her luck, and she's suddenly faced into this world of deceit and scandal, and you know, it's a male-dominated industry, and you could say that of many industries, you know, and there's always going to be corruption and there's always going to be scandal. So it's not that we necessarily set out to kind of point a finger. It just happens to be a film about truth and her journey set against a boxing backdrop. So, yeah.
You know, it's a story about women. It's about like female boxers. It's a sports-driven story. It's about people and like the corruption that happens in real life as well. So I think, it would be great to reach as wide an audience as possible. Well, for me, like I grew up watching Katie Taylor fight. I was never a boxer. I did karate growing up and stuff, but when I read the script and it was like a female-led story, that was something that definitely drew me to the story, was that it was female-led. And also what also drew me is that you never see like a boxing fight, and I thought that was really interesting, like, because we never know what actually goes on behind like closed doors. And I think the film really does that well. It like really digs in deep into what happens between the fighters before and after the fights, and I'd love getting my teeth stuck into that. The adrenaline, I think, like how much it really you know, how passionate these boxers feel about what they're doing, what they're talking about. And like we spoke to some boxers as well in Cork and SPG gym, and like, you know, all boxers have a story and usually have a reason why they're fighting, and I think like as an actor, like picking that and digging into that, I think that really helped. It was really exciting part of the job.
Very simply, what's it like to be here tonight, to be showing Swing Bout at Irish Film Festival London?
Amazing, it's so cool. So I was living in London for 4 or 5 years, and I've loads of family here. So it's so cool to be back at the Irish Film Festival and to be having a film here. It's it's really, really cool. It's a nice little full circle moment.
Saturday came to a close with King Frankie.
You only turn 8 once. And the money will be in your pocket by the end of the day.
It's not my pocket, Mr. Burke.
Can we have a chat?
Yeah, what about?
About the proposal I sent you?
Yeah, I really do. I think all eyes are on Ireland at the moment. I think when you see where we've been and where we're going, the films that we're making. I mean, Killian's new film, Small Things Like These. You have Saoirse producing her own movies. Paul's obviously at the height of his game. But then you have Bad Sisters, and you have a plethora of Irish actors who are performing at the very top level, and are writers as well and directors. I really think it's a moment for Ireland, and but I think we're telling uniquely different stories as well now. We're telling universal tales that aren't just, you know, the old Irish stories from 20, 30 years ago. I think we're really kind of tapping into something universal where we're challenging big issues, but on a personal level that have a universal theme. And I think in the next 10 years there's going to be very, very strong Irish films. I would love to be back again, and I'd love to keep making movies that are holding the mirror up to our society and asking tough questions.
The final day of the festival got underway with Colin Hickey's Perennial Light.
So Perennial Light is a black and white experimental film. It includes animation and it's dialogue free. This is my third silent film. I started about 10 years ago making them in Ireland, and my inspiration came from I always loved animation growing up as a kid, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Mary Poppins, all that kind of stuff, and I loved the idea of combining both animation and live action together. But the idea then was I could have the animation reflect the characters' thoughts and feelings, and you can do a lot with animation. You know, you can be more surreal and more provocative in a way that maybe you can't be with live action. So I studied here in London 20 years ago. I did a course here at the London Film Academy, and then after that I worked in the film business for a few years, made some short films, and I left about 15 years ago. So to be back here now screening a film at a cinema that I used to go to is a really great feeling and amazing. Yeah, feels great. Very happy.
This was followed by a 40th anniversary screening of Neil Jordan's The Company of Wolves.
Where witches and wolves are the forces of evil. Where good will triumph and all will end happily.
Your granny spoils you. She makes you think you're something special. That red shawl.
But this is no fairy tale.
How does it feel to be here today?
Delightful, yeah, it's lovely. See the movie, see all the people who worked in it, many of whom are dead now actually, but it was lovely to see, yeah, great. Well, it was quite interesting to see it after 40 years, yeah, you know, I mean, it's a beautiful kind of fable, you know, a beautiful fairy tale, I think, and, you know, it's an interesting kind of, interesting riff on fairy tales in general, and I thought it was rather interesting to see, yeah.
The films concluded with the bilingual rural thriller Bring Them Down.
You want them? Come get them.
Very proud to be here tonight at the Irish Film Festival London with Bring Them Down. Really pleased that the film could be shared here with this great audience and excited to see the reaction. Barry Keoghan has an amazing performance in the film, along with Colm Meaney, Nora Jane Noon, Chris Rabbit. We're really proud of all the cast in the film, and we're just really looking forward to sharing it with the wider audience in February 2025 when it comes out.
Yeah, Barry's fantastic. I mean, he's just such an instinctive and natural actor, so smart. But I would also like to give a shout out to Christopher Abbott, who a Letterboxd review said this week, I learned Irish for 12 years in school and Christopher Abbott speaks it better than me. So I think he did something quite incredible there.
I think it's a brilliant ensemble performance from all of them, and I think as Barry and Chris have complimented each other in preview press, Chris's accent is incredible, and it's a really brilliant two-handed film.